No. All right. I'm gonna trade you 2 sheep for that wood. Tell me, honey, does that sound good? 'Cause all I really wanna do is take away longest road from you, yeah. Welcome to these tabletop sessions. Welcome to these tabletop sessions. Hello, fellow gregarious geeks and gamers. Welcome to the 21st episode of the Tabletop Sessions Podcast, where we talk about all things tabletop related that have been occupying the hearts and minds of this international group of gamers over the course of the last 3 weeks. My name is Elias, and with me this week are 3 people over 21, but shouldn't be allowed to drink in any country at all. It's Dima, Ipo, and Byron. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Dima here.
Kia ora kutukatoa wakarongo mai kiroto terangi pai, which is Maori for hello to all our new listeners in New Zealand.
And I'm Byron, and I fully support Elias's decision about the drinking.
And I want to say, from all this sentence that I just said, I don't know where's the New Zealand part. I mean, New Zealand should be New Zealand, right?
I think it's Brangi.
And I don't know if I should say thank you to Ipo or apologize to our listeners for whatever was just said.
Yeah, in Maori, maybe the New Zealand is our island or something.
And if Ipa has offended you, please tweet us. We want to get suspended.
Yeah, we missed it.
It's not like it's my first time.
I just Googled Maori word for New Zealand, and I got Aotearoa, which isn't anywhere in that sentence either. So I'm even more confused.
That's so funny. I didn't even know where the words ended. Like I felt like it was just one really long word the way he said it.
Interesting.
So
It's because you don't speak Maori.
Aotearoa is the Maori name for the country of New Zealand. The literal translation is Land of the Long White Cloud, which could be referring to the abnormal amount of sheep that they have in New Zealand.
What can I say? A podcast worth listening.
Well, speaking of drinking problems, I'm going to talk to you about my recent gambling problems. So actually, we've been playing a lot of the Quacks of Quedlinburg, designed by Wolfgang Warsch. And he's pretty popular in our group because of games like Ganz Schön Clever, The Mind, Wavelength. Quacks of Quedlinburg was published by North Star Games in 2018, and it won the 2018 Kennerspiel des Jahres. Woohoo! Okay, so back to my gambling problems.
Sorry. I just copy-pasted what Ipo said, and it translates to, may you all listen to the good weather.
Oh.
Oh.
Good job, Ipa.
Okay. Great. Well, it's nice. Okay, so back to Quacks of Quedlinburg. The game is actually a push your luck game. If you guys don't know what quacks are, which I didn't know, we're basically fake medical professionals who are make-believe making medical potions and trying to sell them. Each player board is a cauldron, and there's like a spiral path that goes like the turns in each cauldron. And on your turn, you're pulling out random ingredients, tokens, from a black bag, and you're placing them into your cauldron. The push your luck aspect is, since you're a quack and you have no idea what you're doing, you're just pulling out these tokens, placing them on the board, and you're hoping that the potion doesn't explode. Okay, so in your bag, you're going to have different colored tiles, and the tiles are numbered. Different colored tiles will represent different ingredients, and the white tokens are considered cherry bombs in the game. And each token has a number on it from 1 to 3 for cherry bombs and 1 to 4 for other ingredients. When you pull out the token, you look at the number and then you move that many spots up the spiral track. You're trying to put as many ingredients into the cauldron, make as much potion as you can, basically, without letting the potion explode. And I was really terrible at not letting it explode. So if the numbers on your cherry bombs in the track add up to more than 7, then it's a bust. And that means at some point, like at the end of this round, you would have to choose between either scoring points that round or using those points to buy more ingredients. So usually at the end of every round, you do both. You use the number you reached in the spiral.
Assuming you didn't bust, that is.
Yeah, assuming you didn't bust. You use the number that you reach to buy more ingredients and score points. And so it's a really, really fun game. For me, the pros is that like no matter what mood you're in, this game will cheer you up. So we're just sitting there, and at the same time, like all the players are pulling out the tokens at the same time and placing them in their cauldron, you know? So it's not like one person at a time puts their hand in, you all wait till they place it, etc. It has very simple mechanics. It's easy, like at the end of your turn, you buy more ingredients, you add them to the bag.
Okay, I have 2 questions.
Yes.
May I? First question, why do I call them push your luck games and don't we call them like be patient games?
Because basically at some point you know that like you reached, for example, 6 in the number of cherry bombs on your board, and you know that there's a number 3 cherry bomb in your bag, but you have like 5 other ingredients in the bag as well. So you have a 1 in 4 chance of picking the cherry bomb. And it's like, how much can I push my luck before I grab that 1 white token out of the 5?
Also, Ippo, it's a really stupid question because push your luck is the opposite of patience, right? If you're patient, it's pointless. The whole point of the game is how impatient are you? Not right? Like if you're stopping every time you reach 3 cherry bombs, even though you can reach 7, because you're like, slow and steady wins the race, you're not going to win the game. You're going to come in at half the points of everyone else.
Yeah.
So patience has no part in this game. It's quite the opposite. It's how much can you curb your addiction to risk and gambling, which Dima cannot.
Also, Ippo, if it was a patience game, there'd be the Doctors of Quedlinburg, not the Quacks, because the Quacks had no time for medical school.
Or would it be the Patience of Quedlinburg?
Exactly.
So
if you push your luck too much, you're gonna lose. So it's about how patient you are.
No, you're
Anyway,
not. You're not. You're not understanding.
You're right.
If you push your luck too much, you're probably gonna win. The point is to push your luck. For example, in the last game that we played, I was already at 7 cherry bombs, but Dima was way ahead of me on the spiral, which means that turn she was going to score a shit ton more points than me.
Like 11 points more.
So but I knew that I'd pulled out most of the cherry bombs already out of my sack. So I just kept pulling and pulling and pulling, and I pulled out like 6 to 8 more ingredients that basically made my potion more valuable than Dima's.
It was so ridiculous.
But that's where you win the game, is in where you know when to push your luck and when you don't. So if you know that you still have half your tokens in the bag and half of them are cherry bombs, don't push your luck. But if you know that only 1 token in there could bust you and you have maybe 8 tokens in there, maybe push your luck a little bit. And that's the point of the game. Because if you don't push your luck, you are sure to lose.
The thing is, I was ahead of him on that round and I stopped. I think I was at 5 or 6 cherry bombs. And when I saw him pull out 7, I was like, no, I can do this. I can pull out one more. I can't let him beat me. I pulled out one token and I busted. And yeah, I don't know. The game is against me, okay?
And that's when you realized you had an addiction.
She has a severe addiction problem. It's really bad.
I don't know. You just can't stop. It's hard to stop. It's hard to make a decision to say, okay, this is the limit. I can't make any more money this round,
It's very easy to stop.
Yeah, no. So overall, if you like fun and addictive games, for gamblers like me, this was an amazing game, apparently.
I want to point out one thing, which Dima missed, which is the variability of the game. So each token color, does different things. So let's say this game that you're playing, having more black tokens than the other player lets you get an extra point and a ruby, which you can use to spend to buy things or to flip over your bottle. But the next time that you play, you use a different set because the game itself comes with 4 sets of these little books, and you pick which set you're going to play with, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And depending on the set you play with, all the colored ingredients do different things. So every time that you play, the value of each one changes, the cost of each one changes, and it really changes the setup of the game, how many points you're going to get, and so forth. The first time we played, for example, we didn't score very highly because we were playing with the basic set. But the second time we did, we had these little tokens, like the blue tokens would stop us from busting. We had like red tokens, which we were able to save and then choose at the end after we stopped pulling from our things, whether we wanted to add it to our potion or not. So all of a sudden our points went up and up, and it changed the strategy completely. So yeah, this is a mostly luck-based game, but for sure the decisions that are presented to you are different depending on the set of ingredients that you're using for that game. So I did like that a lot. Another part of the variability is the first thing you do each turn is you draw the top card, which is like an oracle card from the top of a deck. And it gives you either a decision to make or it changes the value of something for the game, that round rather. So depending on the cards you pull and the ingredient set that you're using, every game really will feel a little bit different. But really, it's a great game. I really enjoyed myself. It's a game that easily I could play with people that have never played any board game. But at the same time, if Dima, me, Ipo, and Byron were sitting on the table, we'd play this game and we'd all have a great time. Another part of my favorite thing in this game is the simultaneous action selection. Not action selection, rather, but simultaneously you're pulling out the chips from the bag. So you're actually there, and then maybe you're slowing down your pulls a little bit to see if the other player is going to stop or if they're going to bust and if you need to bother to keep pulling. So there's like a timing element. You're sitting there pulling chips out of the bag and you're like, I'm just going to really slowly pull this chip out of the bag because I think Demo might bust in the next 1 or 2. So maybe you're just you're pretending to pull and you're like looking at Dima out of the corner of your eye, waiting for her to bust so you don't have to pull any more chips out of the bag. So there's that real time, it's not real time, but rather simultaneous element to the game, which I really enjoyed.
And there's one really fun, you could say thematic part to the game. Elias hasn't experienced it, but I've experienced it a ton. When you're behind on the scoring track, you can add rats into your cauldron, depending on how far behind you are, to fill up your cauldron a bit more. And it's cool because it gives you a little bit of leeway, it pushes you forward on the track. It's basically filling up your pot with stuff so that you have a fighting chance. And I just thought it was a nice touch.
I definitely recommend this game for families, for sure. And 100% this is a great filler game. So after you finish a big game or whatever, 2 players, you can play this game in half an hour. With the full 4, you can play it in under an hour. Because the majority of the game is simultaneous, it's very fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ipo, did you ever ask your second question?
Yes. So my second question is, how many players can play this game?
2 to 4.
Only 2 to 4?
Yeah. No, it's not a party game. I want you to get that through your head. There's luck in the game, but it's a Euro game. Like, you still have phases, and then in each phase you can spend your resources to buy certain things. You still have decision spaces that you have to put your head in that space to try to figure out the right decision to make. If you have X amount to spend, do you want to blow it all on one token that you might never pull out? Or do you want to divide it on multiple smaller tokens, which you have a higher chance of pulling out, but they're less effective and give you less effective powers and points? So there is still a decision space that you have to put your head into. But for sure, luck is extremely prevalent in the game. So
it sounds a lot of fun. If you think that for the last month, me and Lena were playing Can't Stop every day in Board Game Arena. I mean, it's just an old push your luck game. And I would like to see something fresh, some fresh ideas.
For sure,
if
something like Can't Stop is doing well for you and Lena, Quacks of Quedlinburg would do much better, because it gives you that can't stop, push your luck. This is not really a serious game. We're just messing around. But it still gives you decisions to make, which is the best thing about any board game, is the decisions that it puts in front of you.
Yeah.
30 minutes with 2 players.
Yeah, it took us like 25 minutes. And apparently there's a right decision to make, but I don't seem to have that skill.
Believe me, Dima, there's no right decision to make. The only thing I do different than you is I watch for when you bust. Like, I'm very careful with my timing. I'm always hovering around the same place as Dima. And when she busts or when she stops, I just go one further and stop. I don't know if strictly that's against the rules, but that's my strategy. So
yeah. Or if I've happily stopped, I've made my decision, I'm done. Elias makes his way up 1 point past me, and I'm like, I can pull out one more. He can't beat me like by 1 point every turn. And then I bust. So
you have a problem, Dima. You have a problem.
It's you. You're my problem, okay? You're pushing me over the edge.
Sounds like denial to me.
Okay, so that was The Quacks of Quedlinburg by Wolfgang Warsch.
Or the original title, Die Quacksalber von Quedlinburg.
Okay, guys, so while you were playing around with this push your luck childish games, we were playing some serious Euros here in Asia. And we were actually playing Concordia. Concordia is a game I bought as a present to myself last Christmas, and it costed me £50.
Whoa!
As I didn't pay anything for shipping, since Cez was kind enough to bring it from UK.
Sorry, one quick thing about that point. I always found it strange, the price of Concordia. I always found it overpriced. I don't know what it is. I feel like it should be a $35 game, but it's always priced around that $50 mark. And I don't really understand why, because it's like a double-sided board and some tokens and some cards. It just seems overpriced to me.
Yes, I mean, if you see the elements, you can say the board is too big. It's double-sided, and the box is also too big.
I see.
But of course, this is not the thing that makes the price of a game. So
100% that's what makes the price of a game.
Maybe it's the popularity.
How good the game is should determine the price?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Like, because it's Concordia and it's
No,
not so many.
No. The manufacturing cost of the game should determine the price of the game, not how good it is. It's so stupid.
I totally agree with you.
Okay. All right.
Not many economists agree with you. Right?
No, I mean, because it's so subjective. This is not, some stock that rises in value. This is pieces of cardboard on the board. So your favorite game does not match my favorite game, does not match Dima's, does not match Byron's. So you cannot price a game depending on that. I mean, the most popular games tend to be the ones that have a lower price point, because
It's true.
By definition, more people will buy it.
They're more accessible.
I will say this. I was expecting it to be cheaper. As Eric
Exactly.
said, because if you look at the board, it looks old, and also, but that's my impression. I mean,
I know you're saying it's
say
worth
why-
it for sure. From what I've heard, I'm sure it is. I'm just saying that based on what it looks like, you know,
Yeah, they didn't even use that much ink.
that's not what I was saying. But
It was a joke. Okay, but carry
Anyway,
on.
so I was saying that I have played it with 4 and 2 players, and one of the reasons that I picked that up this game is that it can accommodate up to 5 players. So it's this sweet spot of 5 players that we don't have any other game to play. So the game is about Roman times. It's a Mediterranean Sea trade game. So what a surprise! How rare it is, this theme. The players sent colonists from Rome to settle down in cities that produce one of 5 different commodities. You can have brick, grain, grapes, and 2 more things that I don't remember right now. Each player starts with a deck of an identical set of 7 cards and may buy more cards during the game. In their turn, each player plays a card from his hand face up in front of him and executes the action on the card. So this is the whole game. You have these cards, you're just playing the card and you're doing one action. And in the end of the game, each one of your cards gives you victory points for multiple different reasons. Let's say for each city that you have built a house, or for each house in a city that produces a brick, or for each province that you have a house. So the different actions of the game are basic things known to every Eurogamer, like produce in this area, or move, or build houses, or trade resources, or buy more cards. So buying cards is one of the most important actions of the game, and the reason is that not only the new card gives you a new action that you can later play, but you also get one more victory point condition that might be the same or different to the ones you already have. So this is one of the brilliant ideas of the game, the dual aspect of each card giving you actions and also victory points in the end of the game. This is the whole game.
How many rounds are there or turns? Like approximately how many cards does each player get to play throughout the game?
So one of the cards in the game is a card that lets you get back all of the cards you have played.
Oh.
So you get your deck back, but by playing this card, it's like a waste of time because you are doing nothing, you're just getting your cards back.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be more efficient, you should try to play all of your cards and then play this card that gives you your deck back.
Oh, it's just okay. I got it.
The way the game ends is if you place all of your 15, if I remember correctly, houses on the map, then you have one last round and the game ends. And the other way the game ends is that if all the cards that are open to be sold are exhausted. So you have open cards that you can buy and add to your hand and to your deck. Okay, and you also have some houses, trading posts, let's say, that you can place on the map. And these are the 2 ways that the game ends. My favorite thing of this game, which is amazing, is that I can teach it in 15 minutes. Because the rules are straightforward. I have already managed to teach it to my 9-year-old daughter. Of course, she didn't get the depth of the game, and she finished dead last when we played, but she could easily cope with the rules. So this is a very interesting aspect. You have new gamers, because every time we're gonna play on a Tuesday night, somebody new will be there and he won't know and she won't know how the game plays. And you just need 15 minutes to teach it.
That's amazing.
The other thing I liked is the one I said to Dima, this Tribune card. That's the name of the card that you get your deck back. This makes you want to be as efficient as possible.
that's the part of the game that I find fascinating, because Matt Gertz is famous for his games that use a rondel of actions. So in games like Imperial 2030, Navigador, all these games that he's really famous for, there's a wheel of actions, and you can only move a certain number of steps each turn. So in effect, it's sort of to be more efficient and not pay extra to jump further ahead on the rondel, you have to do almost every type of action before you're able to do the ones you've done again. So if I do, there's 5 actions. If I do actions 1 and 2, in order to do 1 and 2 again, the most efficient way, I should do 3, 4, and 5, or all 3. Because in order to do 1 and 2 again, I'm going to have to pay a lot to jump back. And I find that with Concordia, he seems to have taken the same concept and putting it into a hand of cards, which is you can play one card 1, card 2. Now you can play your Tribune and take 1 and 2 back, but it's more efficient to play 3, 4, and 5, then play your Tribune and take it back, because you're playing more actions overall than your opponents. So I really like the idea that the man really loves rondels, and he took the idea of a rondel and turned it from an actual wheel on the board into a hand of cards.
Exactly, and as you said, it's a Mac Gertz game, so he did that. And every time you're trying to, you're willing to buy one more card and put it in your deck, you have a very interesting choice to make. You can buy a card that gives you an action of move, so you can move your colonists more, or you can buy a card that gives you the action of production, so you can produce more. And this changes the game dramatically. It changes your game dramatically. So not only that, the lower part of the card will give you some victory, as I said, some victory point in the end of the game. So maybe this action that gives you more production will also give you victory points for every city that you have a settlement that produces brick. And this is maybe not good for you, so maybe you need to go to another card or something like that. So many choices, and you need to balance, and gives the game such a depth that as you try to predict other people's choices and be more efficient than everybody else, it's the thing that makes me love this game.
So that's where the player interaction comes in.
Yes.
In the game, in terms of...
Yes, and not only that.
The shared board and choices.
Not only that, there is another way to interact. When you go and place a settlement in a city, the first player, let's say, needs to pay 2 coins and 1 brick to place the settlement. The second player who goes there and wants to place the settlement needs to pay double this amount of coins. So he needs to pay 4 coins and a brick. The third player, 3 times that. So 6 coins and a brick. Mm-hmm. So it's also this element, plus the move element, where every time I move my colonists to a road to go and make a new settlement in a new city, they occupy that road. So if somebody needs to overlap me, he needs to pay now 2 movement in order to go further away. He cannot be in the same road as I am.
So there's an element of being first in an area is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so it's many ways of interaction. Plus there is one more card, the card that's called Diplomacy, where you can just copy the action that any of the other players did the last round.
Nice.
So the game is amazing. I don't know what to say more to convince people that it's a great game. I just want to say it's ranked 18 in the Board Game Geek, and the weight according to BGG is 3.05 out of 5.
Okay.
It is supposed to be played in 100 minutes, even though my 4-player experience was about 2.5 hours or more. But that was has a little to do with Sez and Harriet, who were kind of lost in the many options they were facing in the first game. I have to say that Harriet was APing in the first game, and she won. And in the second game, Harriet was very fast, because in the first game, I guess I was complaining, okay, Harriet, it's your turn, do something. So in the second game, she was very fast, and that time Sage was APing, and he won. So
okay, two things to say about that. One, it sounds like when people AP, everybody else gives up on the will to live, and so the other person's able to win.
Yeah.
And two,
thank you, Elias.
if
Thank
you were complaining to someone about APing, must have been really bad, because you're like AP master over here. So
You're in the top 3, so
I'm not anymore.
I want to say
That was the old me.
this game will be added to my collection, but I was considering getting Concordia Venus, because it's one of the expansions, but there's 2 versions of it. There's the expansion, which is just the expansion, and there's one which is like the base game plus the expansion. And what Concordia Venus adds to the game, which is very interesting to me, other than new map and so on, is team play. So you can play with up to 6 players, which could be up to 3 teams of 2. So we really enjoyed team games in our group, but most team games tend to be either war games like War of the Ring or party games. So there's very few actual Euro games which require team games. And we like team games because we like to crush other people, but we also like high-fiving at the end of games. So they're kind of a sweet spot right there. I will say, if you're looking for a game with variability, Concordia is right there. You have Concordia Venus, then you have maps like Balearica, Italia, you have Egyptus, Creta, Cyprus, you have Britannia, Germania, Galicia, Corsica. Then you actually have Concordia Salsa, which is another expansion altogether, which has a new element of salt, which I think is more of a wild resource. So there's a lot in this game in the sense of like how Power Grid or Age of Steam has replayability based upon the map that you're using. And I think Ippo would agree that the map you're playing will impact significantly what your strategy is for that game.
I have played only the Mediterranean map, but from what I hear from you, I think all the other maps are just magnified areas of the Mediterranean Sea, right? So, but
but I'm not talking geographically. I mean, for example, now that you've played a couple of times, I imagine after you play a few more times, you will realize in your head that this location is more valuable in the beginning of the game. Maybe I can grab that in order to expand quickly, etc. So playing with a different map will completely change that dynamic.
Totally true.
So I think bringing in new maps will definitely expand the number of times that you can play this game. Again, the price might be an issue, but...
Totally true. And I wanted to say that also, as you said before, Concordia Venus is out there. And I didn't know that. I don't know why I went for the original Concordia. I think there's no reason now.
Because you didn't speak to me first.
I think I did, but not so much, yeah.
You did not speak to me.
I said I was going to
I first heard about it when Shez goes, he messages on the group, he goes, Ippo, I have your Concordia. And I was like, he didn't consult with me? Like,
no, I think I...
It hurt.
No. We talked early December. I will find the message and send it to you. And you said, yeah, it makes sense. It's the obvious...
Hearsay.
Please send a screenshot of the conversation to the group.
And we'll upload it to Twitter and Instagram so everyone can see it.
Yes. Thank you, Byron.
It doesn't exist, so go ahead and do that.
Okay, guys, just one last thing. I want to quote a BGG user. He wrote in BGG his review. He said, I marvel at the beauty of the design of this game. What could be added? What could be removed? Can't really come up with much anything. It's like the design was always there, and Mac Gertz just pulled it out of raw cardboard. And that was Concordia.
This guy really needs to look at the beauty in life other than board games. All right. Speaking of games that I don't know.
Speaking of moving things around.
Speaking of games in which maps are important. Dima and I recently played a couple of games of Irish Gauge. This is designed by Tom Russell. Originally, it was published by Winsome Games in 2014, and it came in a bag, like a plastic bag. But now it's been republished in this beautiful edition with art by Ian O'Toole by Capstone Games as part of their Iron Rail series, and it was published last year in 2019. The basic idea of this game is it's sort of similar to Age of Steam in the sense that if anyone knows what a Winsome train game is, that they already understand that. But it's similar to Age of Steam in principle, but in the sense that you're building routes, you're buying stocks of different rail companies, and depending on which cities produce and the delivery of those goods, you will then score and make some money after running the trains based on the number of shares that you have and the dividends that you own. If I've lost you and you're bored and you're falling asleep, now wake up! Because it's a great game. And more importantly, it took longer to describe than it might take to teach. Because this game plays in under an hour with the full complement of players and has a single double-sided page of rules. An A4 page, both sides, rules to play this Irish cage game. We played it twice, and each time we played, it was a completely different game. So the basic thing is you have a few actions that you can do. You can buy stocks, or at least open up an auction for a stock in which everyone can then bid for a stock. You can develop the cities that you're working on, basically turn the cities into goods producing cities. And you can run your trains. There's a couple more actions, but this is the main thing that you can do. When you run trains, all the trains on the boards will run, and they will pay out dividends. There's basically 5 railways on the board, and you're buying shares in each one. So the first time that we played, it was a much more conservative game in the sense that we really pushed the development of these railways, extended huge, massive networks before people started pushing that dividend run where people kept getting paid out. And it was interesting. It was more like a actual Age of Steam game, or even similar to an 18xx game in that regard. However, the second time we played, it was a much heavier stock game, but it was a much shorter game. And our train networks never developed fully. So what happened is one of the players, actually the player that came in last in the first game, the second game, he decided he was going to push a different strategy altogether. So because he was last, we decided he would go first. He picked a stock to be paid out, and he outbid everybody on it, basically. And it was the Yellow Railway. Now, in the setup of this game, it just so happened that 3 cities next to where the Yellow Railway begins, they all had a white cube on them. Now, why is that important? Because when you decide to run your trains and pay dividends, you pull cubes out of a bag to see which cities will pay out. There's 3 colors, black, pink, and white. And let's say I pull out a black, and a white. Only cities that have black or white cubes on them will pay out during that run. Whereas if I pull out all 3 colors, black, pink, and white, then all cities will pay out. So he very quickly on his first turn developed a small track that connected those 3 cities. And then he started pushing dividends right away. So he started pulling operations, and he would pull out cubes from the board. And he got lucky because there were a lot of white cubes on the board, there are technically less white cubes in the bag because there's a finite number of cubes. But he pulled out and he got white cubes. And then he did that again and again for his first 3 turns, which meant that in his first 3 turns, his tiny little track connecting 3 white cities paid him enormous amounts of money, and none of us had any form of track developed. So before the game could even get started, he had completely dominated financially.
And none of us could get paid out during his dividends phases because we didn't have any tracks built. We didn't have any money to buy shares from his company.
Because our tracks weren't built, so we weren't getting any money.
Exactly. We used our initial amount to buy initial shares from different companies. And so it was rough in the beginning, just watching ourselves.
So Dima,
losing.
And the very
On the
and
track
the very
to
interesting
losing.
part
sorry, excuse
is
me.
that
Excuse me. So Dima again had a bag and she was pulling out cubes.
I wasn't the one pulling out the cubes this time, but there was a bag, and you do pull out cubes in this bag as well in this game.
But what's interesting is, as I said, the cubes are finite. So after the first couple of rounds, there were no white cubes left in the bag. So that made any city with white cubes on it completely worthless because they would never be paying out again. So even though that yellow rail track made him phenomenally rich early in the game, no one bought the other 2 shares of that company because it was completely worthless all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that was a very cool dynamic.
Very interesting.
Actually, the table next to us on our way out, when they were setting up the board, they had reached in and pulled out, I think, 4 pink.
You should say they were also playing Irish Gauge.
They were also playing Irish Gauge. And they pulled out 4 pink and 2 black, set them up on the board. And they looked at each other and they're like, shall we redraw? And they agreed. They put the cubes back in the bag and redrew, which is cheating.
It's not just cheating. I wouldn't do that because the first game I played of Irish Gauge, I enjoyed it, but I'd rather play Age of Steam. The second time we played, even though I wasn't super into it because, I don't like playing the same game back to back, I'm really happy it came out that way because it showed me the diversity in the game. Yes. I think taking advantage of the initial random pull is kind of critical to doing well in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a couple other things about the game. It's really fun because you don't actually have to develop your railway. You can just buy shares in other people's railways and just let them spend all their money developing it. Although that's a dick move. Now,
that's my kind of game.
I've kind of raved on about this game, but there's a couple negative points. Obviously, it's not as deep as an Age of Steam or an 18xx game, but that's to be expected in a game that's an hour long. So just measure, what are your priorities? If you have a whole day, don't play Irish Gauge. Play Age of Steam or 18xx. But if you only have a couple of hours, you can knock out a couple of games of Irish Gauge. The other thing is you can be screwed by the resources that you pull in a short game. So because it's a short game, it's really hard to pivot strategy. So in that one game that this guy pulled out all those white cubes and made a ton of money in the beginning of the game, I decided that turn I was going to try to monopolize a company and see what happened. I didn't know what was going to happen. But the game didn't carry on long enough.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the game, I owned an entire company, all the shares for that company. I was making mad money every time we ran. I was making a ton of money, but the game was so short that it didn't justify how much I spent up front to monopolize that company. So it's hard to pivot strategy in a game that short. But hell, just play another game. What? Just you're done. Play it again. You could play 3 of these games in the amount of time it takes to play one game of Age of Steam. So, it's valuable to know.
Is it as beautiful as it looks like?
It's gorgeous. It's a light green, beautiful board and beautiful pastel, tiny little trains. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I will say one more thing is whilst it's beginner friendly in the sense of it's very easy to learn, and someone who's never played any sort of train game can play this. Your first action is an auction. Like the first thing that happens is you're auctioning. You're bidding for shares, and if you fuck that up, you might as well be out of the game. So it's not friendly in that regard because in your first game you will fuck up something, and you probably won't win the game because of it.
But at the same time, it's a short game.
Is there any new players rule?
No. Not that I know. I was taught the game. I didn't read
like
it
what I
myself.
did like about him is the person who was explaining the game to us, he was telling us the things they found out by playing the game.
That's true.
So they were just throughout the explanation just telling us, okay, this could happen here if you do that, just so you know at this point during the, so they were just giving us tips, things that they learned from playing the game.
Like Ricardo.
So that was Exactly like Ricardo, yes.
Exactly, the complete
And,
opposite of Ricardo.
I would recommend this game as an 18xx fan. I would recommend this game for people that would like to try out train games that have shares that you need, like, you know, a whole stock market and stuff, because it's short, so you don't have to, if you're not doing so well, it doesn't need to drag out for hours.
And I completely disagree with that.
You don't have to worry about
I wouldn't even
bankruptcy.
I wouldn't even put out that recommendation.
Why?
Because it will teach you bad habits for 18xx. 18xx games are about managing your private wealth versus company wealth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such difference in this game.
Correct.
Wealth is wealth. If you're paying for tracks, you're paying out of pocket.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend this game as a basis for 18xx. I would teach this game before I teach Age of Steam.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was going to teach someone 18xx for the first time, I would teach them 18 Lilliput, then I would teach them 1846, then I would teach them something like 1830. But I would not use this game as any sort of primer on an 18xx game.
I haven't played Age of Steam.
Just because the themes are train, you might as well say, I'll teach you Ticket to Ride as a primer to 18xx. I don't feel like they have anything to do with each
No,
other.
because of the stock market.
Okay, they have a stock market, but they don't operate in the same way.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
There's no value to your stocks. It's just how much of the company you own.
That's true.
Like, it will teach you a lot of bad habits if you're going to use it as a primer for 18xx.
Yeah, it teaches you a lot of like short-term wins that are going to be counterproductive in 18xx games.
We already have the perfect introduction to an 18xx game, and that's 18 Lilliput. So no need to keep looking for anything else. And that was Irish Gauge. I highly recommend it, especially that it's literally like the box is an inch thick, and it's beautiful, and it's thin, and it doesn't take up any space on your shelf. And for sure, at some point, I'll probably like to own this game just because I think it's super versatile and when you can pull this game out.
So if you like train games as much as me, don't buy it because it's a train game. However, onto some new exciting news. I got an email the other day from Simon for Ankh, and it really looks like it's almost... The Kickstarter is about to be released, so I'm really excited about that. I'm going to definitely back it when it comes out. I love minis. I love ancient themes. What's not to love? Other than that, you might wait a while, though, with China production being very, very slow.
And this group, I'm a big fan of Blood Rage. Dima is a huge fan of Rising Sun. So, yeah, as you say, it wasn't to love. The only thing is the same thing I said when we announced it in the first place, which is it's kind of like directly in the same space as Kemet with the same theme, which seems like, I feel like a lot of people who already have Kemet and the expansions would be like, well, I already have an ancient Egyptian themed combat game. I don't know, maybe. I mean, as a Eurogamer, you don't think about theme when you buy a game. Yeah, they're both about trains, but they're different. But I think as a thematic gamer, you do. So... I don't know if it fills up the same space or if people are just going to buy it because it kind of completes the trilogy in a weird sense. I'd be excited to try it. My favorite thing about Blood Rage is how short it is, which is, I liked Rising Sun, but the reason I preferred Blood Rage was how short it is. So I'd be eager to find out how long of a game like it actually takes to play Ankh for me to make a decision on that. So
the video that they released doesn't really show the game. They just have some...
No, the video is useless. I agree.
Some graphics. Doesn't give us any more clues.
It's just a hype train.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see what happens.
So after talking about a game that we've spent a lot of time talking about, heavy on plastic, heavy on minis, probably also going to be heavy on cardboard, let's go to another serious issue. What is our take on environmental affairs with board games?
Fuck the environment.
Listen, all I can say is since we moved to Canada, we've been helping the environment a lot. Okay, we've been spending hours a day sorting through our trash, separating compost from recycling, from actual garbage, and it's been a lot of work. So you're welcome. Go on, Byron.
Have you recycled any of your board game waste?
We don't have board game waste. Our board games are in shipping.
We don't waste board games, okay? We trade them. We give them away for free. After, if it's an escape room, we kind of sort of put it back together and erase the lines.
But guys, where all these recycled garbage go? Because I've read in a paper that there was one big plant in China that is now closed, and now nothing happens with these recycled things. We should send them to the moon.
So all I know is compost. Ontario has this facility that creates methane gas from compost, and then we use it. We're going to start using it as an energy source. But recycling,
is it methane
I
bad
don't
or
know.
something? Wasn't there the whole thing about cows are farting too much and destroying the ozone layer? Pretty sure cows are farting a lot.
Cows are farting too much. That's why we're eating steaks.
Okay, let's get back to Byron. Why'd you bring up this topic, man?
So the reason I brought up this topic
why?
is Big Potato Games have announced that they're doing away with all shrink wrapping and all plastic inserts for their board games, which is a step in the right direction, I feel.
How are they going to seal the game?
That's what I was thinking. Like,
That's what I was thinking too.
yeah.
It doesn't sound like they have a plan for that. But they are looking at using potato cellulose, because you can get cellulose plastic made from potatoes. So that would be pretty cool.
So basically, your board game is going to come like looking like a baked potato. There's going to be a huge potato skin wrapped around your board
Yeah.
game.
It'd be like-
Guys, jokes aside, I really like what they're trying to do.
No, I hate it. God damn it. Stop trying to help us survive as a species.
You Africans.
I really, it's amazing when Big Potato Games. And Big Potato, I really like their attitude in general towards gaming. Like, they have a lot of fun games. Like, I really enjoy Linky, play quite a bit. There's a trivia game that they have, Mr. Lister's listing trivia pub shootout. I don't know what it's called, but it's a lot of fun. And I really like them taking this step in the right direction. We waste a lot as a board gamer. I mean, there are times, especially when it's like a heavy Euro, like a Caverna or a Feast for Odin or something like that. The amount of cardboard that you throw away after you punch out everything is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't care if they're recycling it or not. There's too much wastage. And for sure, the plastic is the biggest issue of anything. Wrapping the cards, wrapping the pieces, wrapping the box. If there's a way to get around that, and I'm sure there is, without spending so much plastic utilization, which is terrible for the environment, great. And I think that we should really salute this as some sort of antithesis to what CMON is trying to do, which is clearly their evil plan of trying to secretly destroy the world through plastic pollution.
1 mini at a time.
1 mini at a time. I mean, seriously, how many fucking minis do you need? It's ridiculous.
And that was the news.
What's interesting is the Kickstarter that just finished for Kanban electric vehicle. I wonder if, in their whole green vehicle initiative, they even bothered to think about how they could use more
Green production.
environmentally sustainable methods in their production. I don't think so. I can't say anything about it on their Kickstarter.
No.
But
I think they missed a trick there.
that would have been a really nice thing to do. So,
Yeah, but just to have this theme in a game, it's something that I guess enhances people to think environmentally friendly.
it does make people think about Teslas.
But my only concern is that environmental themes are they just a theme, or are we actually going to do something about it? Like we had zombie themes, which were huge. Let's go for zombie games. Then we had pirate games. Now I hope it's not just, we're having environmental games for the sake of, that's what's popular.
I have an answer to that. We got to look at correlation versus causation. Okay? So, we had a theme of zombie games about fighting zombies. Look at the world around you. Do you see any zombies? No. We had a theme about pirates, about fighting pirates. Look around the world. other than Somalia, do you see any pirates around you? No. That's because these pirate games didn't get printed in Somalia. All right? So now we're fighting environmental pollution. Look around you. In 10 years, there'll be none of that.
Whoa. Drop the mic.
I want to say that the zombies theme also is an environmental friendly theme because if you think about it, zombies are recycling.
But not wrong there.
They pick up the recycling on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's just got a huge zombie head on the... We should make a follow-up sequel to Mad Max called Zombie Collector. Drives a huge garbage truck picking up zombie waste. Oh, man. Well, thank you for that, Byron. Very important issue that you've brought attention to. And luckily you brought it up so that we could solve the issue. Nicely done. You're welcome, world. You're welcome. And now it's time for the game show of the week, baby.
Yeah!
I guess you'd say who would design the rules this way of who goes first. Who goes first? Who goes first? Talking about who goes first. Okay, that's enough.
Okay. So we have some few excited contestants today. Welcome to Who Goes First?
I just want to say this is already not fair because we are re-recording this episode because we had some technical issues last time. And if I lose today, this will not be an accurate depiction of what happened the first time we recorded this episode. That's all
Unreleased
I'm going to say.
episodes don't count towards your tally. Sorry.
It doesn't exist. It's done.
Oh, man.
Yeah, unless we have played many games that we haven't made them a podcast, so...
That you have also won.
And this time, it's definitely not my fault that we had a re-record.
No, you were the
No.
one person who didn't fuck up this time.
Okay, guys, ready for the game rules?
Yeah!
Ready to go!
Okay, so I'm going to read you either a fake rule or a real rule for first player, and you have to guess whether it's real or fake. I'm going to give you one rule per person per round for 3 rounds, and the one with the most points in the end wins. Elias, since you were the non-existent winner of the non-released episode, would you like to start?
I'd like to go last, please.
Okay, who would like to go first?
I think Ippo is dying to go first.
Ipo,
He's had a week to prepare.
your first rule. Also, I phrased all the sentences in the same way so that it just flows. Okay, so you don't differentiate. The player who has most recently gone to space.
True rule.
Woohoo! Ding, ding, ding. 1 point for Ipo. This is from the game Asking for Troubles.
Oh, that's a really orange game. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Trump of board games.
So Byron, you're next since Elias is going last.
Okay.
The player who has most recently gone insane.
I'm going to say true.
True. Yes.
Can we guess which
Well
game?
done. Yeah, you can guess which game.
So
I don't know, but it's a Cthulhu theme
so
for
easy.
sure.
It feels like the adventures
Arkham Horror.
of Count something.
Okay, so
Baron von...
Arkham Horror.
Elias was the
Arkham.
closest.
Arkham
Cthulhu Realms.
Ah.
Yeah, no extra points
I was
though.
close enough.
Okay,
I said Arkham Horror. I was close. I want the next one. Okay.
Elias.
Fuck off.
The player that looks most like a monster.
No way.
That's fake.
It's real.
No way. That's rude.
Yeah. You guys want to guess the game?
No, that's rude.
Trail on the House of the Hill?
No.
No, Fearsome Floors.
Well, we don't recommend you to play Fearsome Floors because that's a very rude thing to ask someone to do. It's like Sheriff of Nottingham where they ask you the person who has the most money in their wallet. Like, come on. It's just so fucking rude.
So, Dima, just a quick recap on the points.
1 point for Ipo, 1 point for Byron, and 0 points for Elias.
I just want to say that I'm going to delete all of this and put in the recording from the last.
Okay, Ipo, you're up. The player who has most recently littered.
That sounds like a reasonable, but at the same time, I don't know any games that could have this rule. So I'm gonna say fake.
Correct! Ding, 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 ding! 1 point for Ipo.
Yes!
Okay, Byron, you're up.
I have double the points of Byron.
That's true. You have almost 3 times more than Elias.
That's not how math works.
Infinite times.
Okay,
2
Byron.
is not double of
Infinite
0.
times.
3 times of 0.
Byron, you ready to make up the difference?
I'm ready.
The player with the dirtiest clothes.
That's so fucking rude if that's true.
No, to me, that's fake.
Ding, 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 ding! 1 point for Byron. Okay, Elias, you're up. You ready? The first player to move. Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
That's a nice rule.
It's too nice to be real. It's fake.
Correct. It's fake. Good job, Elias, with 1 point.
See, now,
on the board.
now you have twice the number of points I have.
I literally know a children's game that has this rule.
Really?
First player to move. Yes.
Oh, so
It's not a board game though.
okay, but
Oh, well.
okay.
well.
So then it's fine. Elias still gets the point.
It's called to hide from a predator.
He's trying to rob you of your 1 point.
Okay, Ipo, you're next. The player with the pointiest ears.
That's
Get it wrong.
totally
Get it
true.
wrong.
Because I guess it's from a Star Trek kind of game.
No, it's from Small World.
But he's right.
Yeah, it's true. You get the 1 point. Yay! Okay, so at this point, Ipo's winning unless Byron can catch up. Byron, are you ready?
There's too much pressure. I don't think I can.
You can do it. I'm with you. I'm going to guess with you.
The player who grunts the best.
I think it's from UgTech. I'm helping Byron. Fuck
Elias,
off.
you can't help Byron.
I'm helping
Otherwise,
Byron.
his win is going to have an asterisk.
I'm helping Byron.
Byron, do you want an
I think it's from
asterisk next to
UgTech.
your
It's
win?
true.
I'm calling bullshit.
It's true, but I'm
It's
not.
a
I'm
point
not
for
sure.
Byron.
It's true.
It's an African conspiracy.
Is it from UgTech?
No, it's from Bridge Troll.
Wow, shows how much I know.
Okay.
See, he didn't even give a good hint.
Give him another one. Give him another one.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Elias, and then I'll come back to Byron's situation.
I'm eliminated.
Are you?
Yeah.
you are.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Oh,
That's why I sided with Byron.
Okay. Well, Byron and Ipo tied. Let's go again.
Did
I think we should vote who wins.
Did we though?
we did tie. The points say we did.
Okay, Byron, I'm gonna give you one more shot
Why?
because
Okay.
technically you cheated.
So what? The man has more resources
What
at
do you
his
mean? I didn't
disposal.
cheat.
It doesn't
Somehow
mean
from
that he
Elias' point.
cheated. He's
Not
won
technically,
the
he cheated.
contest. of character.
You're not supposed to help each other.
I have chosen
plain
Byron
sight.
as my champion.
In
Okay.
place-
Oh, Captain, my
can't help
captain.
that Eddie is
You
playing.
have my axe
Byron,
It's seated in
and
plain
my
sound.
ox.
Byron, I'm going to ask you one more, and this will, the other one's canceled.
No, it's not canceled.
It's canceled.
No.
What
I'm
is
running this game.
I'm
The
gonna
other
help
one's
him. I'm
canceled.
writing
If
a
Elias
formal
helps Byron,
I'm
writing
gonna
a
keep
formal
helping
complaint.
him.
There's
Kudos-
a strongly worded
kudos
letter
to Dima.
coming your way.
I feel like this is
I-
Your
bullshit.
Honor.
It's a conspiracy.
I cannot live
and
with this
I
win.
do not accept this. You know, I can fire you.
As the game show of the week host,
I can fire your ass. Okay.
She's gonna be fired because of your dignity.
Okay, Byron, ready?
There's clear
Elias,
preference.
do not help him. Otherwise, it'll be an
No, I'm
automatic
not
win
even
for
interested in
I
Ipo.
got you, buddy. We're gonna work
Okay.
together. Okay?
Elias,
Check your
don't.
phone. Check your phone.
Elias, don't. Ready? The player who can hold their breath the longest.
I don't know. I can't be of much help on this one.
You know what? Since I was already robbed of a point, I don't even care. I'm gonna say true.
It is true.
You did it all by yourself, buddy. All you. I think you win because you answered 4 questions and Ipo answered 3.
I should have won. Just saying.
This is clear bullshit from the part
Okay,
of Dima.
so the game is Aquarium. Okay, this is the last round. Either you guys tie or one of you wins. Ready?
Ready.
Are we both playing?
Yes, you and Byron.
Okay.
Because I gave Byron an extra one and he got it. Okay, so Ipo. The player who is the wealthiest.
No, that's fake.
Correct, it's fake.
That's not fake. It's real, and I own the game.
Which one?
Dog eat dog.
Really?
Dog eat dog. The person who plays the colonist
Ooh.
is decided by who's the wealthiest player.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh.
That's a fucking asterisk.
Yes.
It's not me helping Byron on a game I never heard of.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
We're going to do the same thing we did last time.
Okay.
We're going to do the same thing we did
Don't
last
listen
time.
to fake news.
Ipo.
Fake
Ipo.
news.
we're
Ipo.
gonna time
You have
out
5
and I'm gonna
seconds
look
to-
up the rules.
You have 5 seconds to spell supercalifragilistic
we have a situation,
expialidocious.
yeah?
Go.
The referee is checking the rules.
What's the name of the game?
Dog eat dog.
I call it's fake news from Elias Fox.
Okay, once the characters both are decided, you need to decide who among you will play the colonizing forces. That's when you get to drop this question on your richest friend. Okay, who here is the richest person?
Whoa, Ipo, it is a rule.
What does it say? Does it say the wealthiest?
It says the richest.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the same? My English are not so good, so I'm not sure it's the same thing.
Okay, Byron, you're up. Ipo, I'm sorry you didn't get that point.
Byron, I'm on your side, baby.
I'm ready.
Okay. Elias, do not say a word, otherwise
I
Byron might
won't.
not
I will
get
just fight the system to make sure he gets his dues.
it. Okay, Byron,
System.
I'm here.
the player who can purr the best.
Player who can purr the best.
I think that's from Cat Tower.
It's fake.
It is fake.
Yeah!
Legally won that one by 5
I'm
points
sorry,
to 3.
Ipo. Yeah.
Byron, I'll be sending you my bill for my 15%.
Because there's no cat games.
There is Cat Tower. I thought it was from Cat Tower for a second, but
And the kitten.
there's
What's
the Isle of
kitten game?
Cats. Yeah,
No, exploding kittens.
there's Exploding
There
Kittens.
are some cat games.
All in all, thank goodness for Byron's ignorance. You deserve it, buddy.
Yeah.
So Byron,
This is bliss.
so congratulations, Byron, on the win of the
The
week.
rightful winner of episode 21.
Completely justified and deserved and self-earned.
This week was a struggle, guys.
After a double extra time.
And legal proceedings.
Seriously, this was rough. I think I was sweating a little bit.
I will say, even though I didn't win this one, even though I won the original one,
which one?
this was much
Which
more
one did you win?
entertaining. So I'm not going to swap it out.
Which one did you win? Sorry?
I don't
Byron,
remember you winning
you
anything.
do realize I have recorded evidence of me winning.
Maybe so, but
The best part is we can't really hear Elias's recording in that one.
You can hear my recording perfectly. The only problem is
poppy.
there's a popping sound. So I will have it available for those who require evidence to
that's everyone.
be sent.
But
To be
but
fuck it. I'm deleting this whole thing and putting my...
Elias, we couldn't hear anything because of this popping sound.
It's true.
I'm glad everyone's taking this very maturely,
You know,
as always.
it'd be really funny if this recording right now starts popping.
Actually, yeah, I'm hearing something like.
I'm hearing something, but it sounds
You shouldn't be hearing something you won, Byron. Oh my God, he doesn't get it.
Pop.
it sounds like it's a bit Greek what I'm hearing.
Pop, 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 pop. No, oh, I see what you're hearing. I see what you're hearing.
Whoa, that took a while.
Bum. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bum. Ba-da-da-da-dum. Ba-ba-da-da-dum. Ba-dum. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-da-dum. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
We will be cutting that out and putting the actual recording.
So it's ducks performing Zorba.
It's the Quacks of Canada.
Quedlinburg.
It's the quacks of Crete.
It's the Ippokratic Corner.
Yeah!
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Ippokratic Corner. In this Ippokratic Corner, we're not going to have a top 3 because there's something else that fills our minds and souls for this late weekend and the latest weeks. It's what is considered cheating in Hanabi. Okay, I need to say a couple of words before. Everybody needs to know that Hanabi is a co-op card game where the players are trying to play their cards in a specific order, where they can only see other players' hands but not theirs. So each player can give to another player clues about the color or the number of some cards, and the players in turn are trying to play their cards based on the clues they have by using deduction, should I say? I was waiting for Elias to argue about it, but
It's not deduction. They tell you the color and the number, and that's when you play the card.
So reasoning.
Correct.
And that's the game. So there is a big discussion on what is legal in this game and what is not. If we decide before starting the game that when I show you a red card of yours, you can safely discard that card, that is cheating according to most of the people.
Correct.
Because you wouldn't discard that card by just using basic reasoning. However, my personal opinion is that there are other instructions more morally ambiguous. Example. I played this game many times in the same night with my friends Calliope and Phil. As we were becoming better and better in this game, we realized that it's more efficient to give clues to each other on cards that we must play than on cards that we need to discard. After the end of each game, we had a discussion like, why did you give me that clue? Because such and such. So this kind of communication created in our group certain patterns on how to play the game that eventually became rules for us, for our group. So now if I play a game with Phil and Calliope, they know that I generally only give them clues on cards they need to play.
Yeah, you're
This
cheating.
now becomes problematic when I play the game with a new group like Elias and Dima. And I can share my experience with a new group, but that could be perceived by others as imposing rules to them or even cheating.
You forgot to mention Lena in the new group.
Among others, Lena, my wife, also believes that. So what are your thoughts?
Your Honor, members of the jury, this case is clear cut. We could cook it up and go home, not be home by dinner. It's very clear to me that opposing counsel does not understand that he's a fucking cheater just because he played the game with other fucking cheaters. That does not make it okay. Coming up with rules that are not in the rule book to give more information is cheating. The entire challenge of the game is to go with basic information of telling other people what color they have or what number they have, what to do. The game is co-op. If you are not going to do it according to the rules and going to add your own rules to it, what is the motherfucking challenge? What is the fucking what is the challenge in the game if you are going to make up your own rules when you have no one playing against you?
Your Honor, if I might add...
No, I'm talking. So...
You're not Your Honor.
It's my podcast. So what happens is coming up with more information and agreeing upon more information in a deliberate manner, whether or not that came up through organic conversation or not through organic conversation, you have deliberately agreed on something, makes it cheating. If, without ever discussing it, ever, you kind of figured out that, oh, my so-called friend, Calliope and Phil, only give me this clue when I have to discard it, then I give you the benefit of the doubt because you have figured out their patterns. But if between plays you have deliberately said, well, when I gave you that clue, it was clearly so you could discard it, you are therefore adding more information into the game than is allowed. Are you that desperate to have 25 points? Your Honor, this is a clear and cut case. The members of the jury can just sign off on this and go home. Opposing counsel is clearly a cheater in his heart and his soul, and we might as well just move on from this nonsense. I rest my case.
Do we have any reasonable podcasters here?
No.
And we have had this conversation before when we were all playing The Mind, and it started becoming so frequent that patterns started emerging. And the people that count in their heads when they play The Mind, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay.
Wait, I do count.
You're a cheater!
You're a cheater. We discussed this.
There's no other way. What do you mean?
Dude, there's plenty of other ways. I've played with a bunch of people that wait 40 seconds to play a number that's 4 numbers up. Like,
I'll send you a video.
Just because you do that, and I'm full disclosure, I do that too in my head. But when I get to the number, I don't play it immediately. I do that as like my basis. And then when I take my number, I just look at everybody really hard and try to have an emotional connection to them.
Yeah.
When I play The Mind, I like to be mentally connected to everyone else's mind. So I'm able to play it quite efficiently.
And Byron is a completely unbiased judge in the situation.
That's right. Nobody helped him out in the game show of the week.
Yeah, exactly. I was just, Elias and I are just like good brain buddies.
So, Ippo, thank you for bringing this topic up this week that we all disagree with you on.
I think we should take a vote, Your Honor, because that's how juries work. Other than opposing counsel, who clearly is biased in this topic.
I would like to add that Ippo ruined the game for us. Because in the middle of the game, he just messaged on the chat that he gave me that if he gives us a clue, that should be the next card we play. And I would like you to take that into consideration and make up your own mind when deciding to convict Ippo.
No, we are convicting Ippo. Us three, we're the voters right now. All those in favor of calling Ippo a cheater at Hanabi, say aye.
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 All right, Ippo, you're sentenced to never playing Hanabi with us again.
I speak for Lena as well. She says aye.
So what we learned today is that if you play Hanabi, in the end of your game, if somebody asks you, why did you give me that clue? You will say, I'm not going to tell you because of that.
Or you can do what Lena does. And when I ask her, why did you give me that clue? She's like, I don't know.
Why not?
And that's why we always lose.
What we learned today is Ippo's friends will turn on him in a second.
I'd just like to point
And
out the
also, what
irony
we learned today-
of me and Byron calling Ippo a cheater after that game show of the week.
I didn't cheat.
No, you did not. You did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong.
I can't
Everything we
control
discussed
Elias's
was
voice.
complete attorney-client privilege. You're solid. You're good. Oh my goodness.
Oh, guys. Oh, I just want to say to our listeners that if they have their own opinion, please let us know that opinion.
If you have your own opinion, get your own fucking podcast. This is my fucking podcast, and it's my opinion, and we all think you're a fucking cheater, Ippo.
You are our listeners. Of course, you have your own opinion, and please share it with
So
us.
listen to what we say and have your own opinion on the top. Unless your opinion is that Ippo's a cheater.
Okay. Ippo's just speaking louder on top of you. Ippo, go ahead.
Or guys, you just go to BGG Guild because nobody does. So just go there and say something.
It's really sad.
It's
something.
It's
It's
just
a ghost
and Elias
town.
having conversations with themselves.
There's like no one on our BGG guild, and it's just me posting, we have a new episode, and no one.
No, and we get 4 likes for each post.
Do we?
Yeah,
Do we?
me, you, Byron, Ippo.
No, we don't. None of you like it. I'm the only one that
likes.
posts it. All right, so the
And-
point is, Ippo, I'm going to invite you to a conversation. We'll discuss what we think about Hanabi. And any listener who wants to get in on this conversation, to back me up, or if you must, to go on Ippo's side, and I'll only tolerate that on the BGG Guild. We have enough followers on Twitter and Instagram. I will not tolerate that. If you defend Ippo on social media, I will block your ass. But on the BGG Guild, I will let dissenting opinion happen because we're kind of desperate in that ghost town there.
And we know you listeners don't care about, but both these links will be in the episode description. One last thing. The TTS 2019 awards are still on, so you have your last chance to vote about your favorite games, the favorite games you played in 2019 before our deadline in 22nd of March. So do that. It's less than 5 minutes to fill that form. On average, it's 4 minutes and a half. I'm sincere on this. So just go there and let us know your favorite 2019 games.
And our link to that poll will be in the episode description. I want to answer a couple of questions which have been brought up by some of our listeners. This is the only, it's four categories you have to vote for. The only one that is fixed to 2019 games, like games released in the year 2019, is the best 2019 release. Everything else can just be whatever you enjoyed playing the most in 2019. And the reason we do this, we're never going to play every single game that came out in 2019. This is not a definitive award of what's the best game that came out in 2019. This is the award of what are our listeners playing? What are our listeners enjoying? Because if you assume that people that listen to this podcast probably are like-minded, then it behooves to know what these other listeners are playing and enjoying. So that's what we're doing. So don't feel any pressure like, oh, I didn't play, Quacks of Quedlinburg.
I don't even know what came out.
I can't make a decision. I didn't play Irish Gauge. Go out there and just make your own decision based on what you enjoyed playing in 2019. And then what your favorite game that was released in 2019 was. And that's it. There's no pressure. There's no impartiality. We just want we want to know what you're playing. And that's how we determine our listener awards. So check it out.
Well said, my friend.
We're not Dice Tower. We don't have money for every single game.
We have no actual principles. So that brings us to the end of this.
Let's make this clear. Yes.
To make it clear, our principles are for sale.
Feel free to sponsor us with anything, and we'll play it.
I will wax poetic about the use of plastic in board games, but if a company that makes plastic for board games wants to sponsor this podcast, just shoot me an email.
That would be Elias at noprinciples.co.com.
I will take Monopoly on as a sponsor.
Might be the best 2019 game.
Oh my god.
Okay, we should end this before we lose all our followers.
These are just jokes, and that brings us to the end of this tabletop session. Thank you for listening. Please check out our very active Instagram account at Tabletop Sessions. You can reach us through Twitter at TTSessionsQA. Or join the conversation, please. Start the conversation over at our Board Game Geek Guild so that me and Ipo stop yelling at each other in an echo chamber. And you can find the link to all of these in the episode description. Please rate us on iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, or rate us through your Android podcast app of choice. This really is the best thing you can do for the podcast. It takes just a couple of minutes, and it's the best way for us to get noticed. Short of literally helping with the podcast, sponsoring the podcast, whatever it is, this is the best thing that any of you as listeners can do other than listening to our podcast. We really appreciate everyone that's gone there and rated our podcast. We'll be back in 3 weeks, and until then, to quote one of my favorite writers, God damn it, you've got to be kind. Say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Kia koa, folks.
Sparu baru.
What was that?
It's Sabaru Bayu.
Sparu bayu.
Is it Japanese?
No, it's because you said Kia koa. So Kia, Subaru.
Tabletop, tabletop, top.
Clearly, you don't speak
Tabletop,
Maori.
top. Tabletop, 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 top. Tabletop, 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 top. Session.
I'm gonna give some hints to our listeners right now. Her Honor, Miss Dima, is checking the rules. Actually, not the rules. She's checking if